All right, card number 42, Tommy Brown. Since this is session number 42, welcome everybody to Card Room Live. This is going to be a fun session tonight. I'm going to give a chance to see how many people are going to jump in here, hoping that we get some folks in here, because I do have some special guests that are going to hop in here in just a second. And I see some people leaving comments already, which is awesome. Let's see the card story. Yeah, I hope you're pumped. This guy's in here already. Mike, good to see you. There's Nina. All right, we've got a good group in here already. Speaking of Nina and Scott, I wanted to say thanks to Brian, to Scott, to Dom, and to Nina from our last session. I got a lot of positive feedback about that conversation, and I want to thank those folks because they're really the ones that made that such an engaging discussion. And I hope we can do that again sometime. But tonight, we're going to try something kind of similar to things that we've done in the past, and also a little different. You guys know that in these live sessions, a lot of times what we'll do is people will throw out ideas for cards to look at and sets to look at, and I'll inevitably end up going on eBay and typing stuff in and going on websites. And that, I don't even remember how that started, but I often get comments that that's something that people really enjoy about these live sessions, is just kind of looking around at stuff online and talking about cards and getting ideas for stuff that people can collect. Sometimes we'll look at really famous, well-known cards, popular cards, but we'll also look at obscure stuff, oddball stuff, stuff that isn't necessarily in everybody's collection. But it's fun to look at nonetheless. It's not necessarily only about what can I collect, but it's just about enjoying just how big this hobby is and how much stuff there is out there. And so we're going to do that tonight. But the cool thing I think about tonight is that rather than me trying to look for stuff, we've got some folks lined up here that are going to help us do this. So this is going to be fun. So let's go ahead and bring these folks in here. We've got Rick. How you doing?
I'm good, Alex. How are you?
Good. We've got somebody who knows Scott Ranger Studios. Don, right?
I believe so.
Okay. We've got Scott from Stuke's Baseball Cards and Curiosities.
Hello,
Stuke,
there.
how are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. And we've got the Drew of Vintage Legacy. How you doing, Drew?
Hey guys.
So first of all, thanks all of you guys for jumping in here and doing this. For a couple of you guys, I think for Rick and Scott, this is your first time doing a live stream.
Yep.
So this is going to be fun. I know a little bit about each of your collections just from your channels, but for anybody that maybe doesn't know your channels and doesn't know your collection, it'd be cool to hear a little bit from each of you about just a quick idea of kind of what your focus is in terms of what you've been collecting. So how about Rick? How about we start with you?
All right. Well, I say my collection is basically three facets. I collect Dodger cards from 1909 to present day. I also collect vintage 50s, 60s, and 70s sets. Currently working on a 1941 play ball set. And I also have some, I buy graded Hall of Fame cards.
Okay. Drew.
All right. I have kind of collected a whole ton of stuff over a lot of decades, put some sets together, singles, some autographs, things like that. Currently, I'm not actively collecting much. What I mainly do with my collection is I'm telling the story. Anybody who's seen my channels, basically that's what I do is tell stories about what I have, things I've gotten, how I've gotten them, people I've met, just the different experiences, just to document them and sort of relive what I've obtained over the years. To me, this has kind of brought my whole collecting experience to a new level. Just to share that with like-minded people from all over the country. You guys are from all over the place. I've met so many great people, made so many great friends, and yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. As far as things I have collected, I've built a few sets, 56 Topps, 63 Fleer, 53 Bowman was the last one I finished. A few in the 70s. I've got a number of Hall of Famer. Single cards, some rookies, things like that, and then a very few player collections, including Stan Musial, Pee Wee Reese, Carl Erskine are the three main. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Nice. All of that stuff is perfect for this live stream, Drew. So really happy to hear it. Stuke or Scott?
Either one is fine.
Cool.
I have quite a eclectic collection. I do collect a few sets, but I have a little bit of this, a little bit of that, autographs, autograph balls, memorabilia. Got a couple things hanging on my wall back there. And my main set that I'm collecting right now is a 1947 through 66 exhibit set. Got about 230 different cards. Still looking for some key cards yet. Basically, if I see it and I like it, I'll probably pick it up.
Great. All right. And Don.
I mainly collect post-war Hall of Famers with a sprinkle of pre-war, anything Stan Musial, and also like to collect Roberto Clemente. And anytime Scott says anything negative about me on this chat, I'm just going to put that up every single time.
Well, you might as well just hold that card there. The whole
Yeah,
time.
really.
Yeah. Great. So this is going to be fun. So we're kind of figuring this out as we go, guys. But the idea is, I gave these guys a prompt, and the prompt was 1950s cards, of course, right? Because I'm very selfishly trying to stay in the 1950s. But you guys have already kind of indicated that maybe we're not going to stay in the 50s, and that's fine because that we can go wherever you guys want to go. But what we'll do is we'll take it like one at a time, and each of you can sort of direct what we're going to do. So whether it's like showing a card or cards that you've got, or if you want, obviously I can pull up eBay or any websites or anything you guys want in terms of sort of directing us to what you want to talk about. So the idea for those of you guys in the chat is it's not necessarily looking at stuff that you've got in your PC. I mean, that might be part of it, but it's also, like I was saying before, just an opportunity to look stuff up and think about what's out there. Is anybody like dying to go first, or should I pick somebody at random? I know what this is like as a professor, like nobody wants to raise their hand. So Rick, I'm going to pick on you first.
And the sad thing, Alex, was I was a professor for several years, so I'm not raising my hand first.
Yeah, right. Stay in the back of the room. Yeah.
I'll go ahead and talk about the 1953 Topps.
Okay.
Just because I loved the artwork in that. Artist Jerry Dvorak worked on that set. He did a lot of oil paintings for it. And it's just a really beautiful set where, I'll start off right away, Mickey Mantle.
Wow. Way to start us off.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I got the Mantle here.
A little bit higher, Rick.
There you
Yeah.
go. I'm going to cover my face.
I have to soak it in. Okay, great.
And I'll do one more and the maze. So those, these two, I'll be honest, these were like dream cards. 5 years ago, I used to say, if I can ever do that 53 top set and get a Mason Mantle, I'm done. I don't need to collect anymore.
Right.
Unfortunately, I ended up buying more cards after that. It's just a great set though, because it's just a lot of great paintings. As opposed, I think in 1954 we started using pictures by that point, or photographs, I should say.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And you guys have any 53 hanging around?
I have a couple here.
So,
One of my favorite ones is a common, and so it's not gonna.
Missed it,
Go ahead,
Don.
Don.
You
You're
hold it
good.
up. There you go. Nice.
Yeah, you've got the good stuff anyway. So, one of my favorites is card number 69, Dick Brodowski. And for those of you who don't know, nothing special about Dick Brodowski necessarily, but if you look in the background of that card, that's Fenway Park at night, and this is the first card that they actually depicted a night game. And I just always thought that was a cool story as far as the sort of the evolution or history of cards and what they show. So I love this card for that reason. It's not a valuable card by any means, but to me, it's just kind of a cool thing as far as 53 goes. So,
No, Drew, I love that. Every now and then I'll go back and look through that set, and I found one recently that was, oh shoot, I'm forgetting the name of the player, an obscure common card of a Yankee player that really depicted Yankee Stadium in a way that I thought was unique. And I love stuff like that. Just like, yeah, a night game at Fenway Park. That's really memorable.
same thing with card number 1. This guy was pretty good, but
Yeah.
the fact that they painted in Brooklyn Bridge directly behind him, so it's not in the stadium, or at least the background isn't showing him in a stadium. It's showing Brooklyn Bridge, and I always thought that was kind of cool, considering the history of Brooklyn and how much the team meant to that city or that borough, and of course how much Jackie Robinson now means to baseball and history in the United States as well. So just that's always been a cool thing, and the fact that they thought to put in card number 1 to do that, just really I think that's a great, a great thing in it.
Definitely.
My only
yeah.
53s are the Johnson cookies.
Oh, nice.
nice.
Cards.
Those are
That's
great.
nice.
I like that.
Yeah, beautiful.
I like that.
And those are all Braves, right?
Yep, that's correct.
hmm
There's like 3 different years: 53, 54, of course, with Hank Aaron, and then 55. They're all different sizes too.
Right. Yeah, every now and I'll go look those up, and they're absolutely beautiful. Even if you're not a Braves fan, I mean, there's so many great players from that era in the Braves teams. But of course, they can be, especially the Aarons, can be a little pricey to say the least, but gorgeous. Okay, Don, what do you want to get us started with?
53 Hunter's Wieners.
Okay.
They are 53, 54, and 55. And there are 3 Museo cards that are super hard to find.
Okay, I've got this.
On eBay.
Sorry, go ahead.
And I don't know much about them except, obviously they're food product cards. And yeah, there you go. There's the 53. I don't know if it'll let you click on that.
Not going to make it much bigger.
Yeah, and then the 54 and 55. 55 is my favorite. It's kind of like the 83 tops in a way there or the 63 tops. Really hard to find. I saw them at the National, and they go for $6,000-$7,000, and to find them in good shape is almost impossible. But those are
I've never
3
even seen
green
that.
cards to add to my Museo collection, as is the one you're showing down there below, the 55 Rawlings box.
Oh yeah.
Those, the cards pop up fairly often on eBay to find the box. And there was a box that just recently sold with the glove. That there's another guy. I forget his name. He's
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
he buys all the good Museo stuff.
Right.
Where are those Hunter's Wieners cards? Is that a regional set or was that distributed nationally?
I really don't know. Like I said, I don't know the history of those cards, but thought it was a great set to talk about in the 50s that we don't see all the time.
Yeah, Dave is in here. I think he's driving, so he may not be able to
Yeah.
comment. But yeah, they are a regional promotion. And
So I don't know.
I've seen I think I've seen the 53, but I don't know that I've ever seen the 54. Certainly not the 55. That one's really cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I really like that.
55 is sweet.
Yeah, Dom's saying that it's just Cardinals, so it's probably a St. Louis regional product,
Right.
which makes sense. But then Stan has a lot of Rawlings products, but that box is just for a musical collector. That's one of the grails to find one of those.
Right.
I don't know if I ever will, but
And
like
the
I said-
individual cards are awesome too. For like obviously the box would be cool, but even if you got the individual cards, they're
right.
really-
And I don't have any of those either. So, but those are more attainable than the Hunter's Wieners for sure.
right.
Hmm.
I like the 54 on the front. It says, "What's my name? What's my record?" So there's some sort of a trivia game attached to it. It's like, who in St. Louis doesn't know what his name is at that point?
Right.
Really.
John Mangini's on here now. He might know a little bit about the history of these cards, the Hunter Wieners, but I don't think Rick's on here. Rick might know as well, but Rick, oddball cards. I mean, sorry.
Right. Cool. Definitely some awesome cards. Scott, what would you like to jump to?
Well, I'm working on this 47 through 66 exhibit set, and that's the satchel page that I have.
Wow.
And I need one more Mickey Mantle. I've got the two at the bottom. You can see the C and K joins on one Mickey, and it doesn't on the other. So it's a very
Oh, yeah.
Where is that on the card?
The name Mickey, where it says Mickey, the C and K join on one of them and not on the other.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
And then that's a third version of the Mickey Mantle in the set. And the fourth one is the one that I need. And that's a very expensive one. You might be able to find one on eBay. They're probably $2,000-$3,000.
Wow.
Right.
Before COVID, it was a lot cheaper, and I wasn't really collecting it that much. Then I just had accumulation of exhibits. I got one here that Don probably has.
I do. Yes, Scott. He's kneeling. I'm talking about Reindeer Studio, Scott.
Yeah. Beautiful. Scott, I remember you did a video fairly recently about identifying fakes for exhibits.
Yeah. The if you noticed on these, they're all kind of a cream color.
Right.
And if they're bright white, flat white, they're probably counterfeit. And if they're gray, they're probably counterfeit.
Hmm.
And you can really get to tell the difference if you've had them for a while or if you have them side by side. But I do see a lot of the grayback ones around, and I've identified them for people at shows, and they're disappointed when they find out they're not real. But
Sure.
I'm not gonna, might as well tell them now instead of have somebody get upset with them down the road.
Right. Right.
Scott, I have a question for you. Because I see these exhibits all the time, and I think 1947 to 1966.
Yeah.
Were those bought like at retail stores or in packs?
They were in vending machines. I forgot to pull something out. I'll be right back.
Okay. Drew, while we're waiting, anything you
Okay.
want to jump into?
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, I had built a 1956 top set, and to me, it's one of those sets that I have never found a collector who says, "I hate that set." They may not rank it as their top set, but I've never found someone who's like, "Ugh, that's just gross." Um, and so what I really like to do is, I keep my sets in binders. I don't have graded cards. Most of my cards are low grade. So, but still, what I like to do is sit and I just like to flip through the binder. And with the 56, I pulled some cards out, and they're all commons. And
Sure.
another one of those things is they say, well, 1971 was the first. That was the first year where they started showing action shots in the field, and that was kind of a new thing for tops.
Right.
But in my opinion, 1956 was the first. So I've just got a few comments here, and these are just some amazing action shots. And when you look at the action of what's going on, I mean, he's sliding in. He's got a hook slide, and there's another batter behind him that's telling him to slide. This one, a collision at the plate. Got to see my own picture. There you go.
Yeah.
Collision to the plate, trying to get underneath it. Same thing here. The fact that they included all the dust is just really cool. This one where he's trying to avoid a tag, just amazing action shots. And this one, another, he's obviously a
Oh,
high
yeah.
throw, maybe trying to steal a second, filling down. And this one's absolutely one of my favorite. And what it is it's Rocky Bridges. And Rocky Bridges, he played for a number of different teams. And to me, he was Pete Rose before Pete Rose. But look at that slide.
Oh.
If that doesn't look like Pete Rose, hat flying off, just a belly flop in the air, to me, that is an action shot. It's nothing against 71s. That's another set that I built. But 1956, some of the shots, they're not as posed as all the other years. And, some of them are more posed. I'll stick one out right here. More traditional like that. And there's nothing wrong with these cards, but when you flip through and you could really get a picture of the game. You can kind of get the feel for it. And I think I want to do a video sometime. It's going to take some research, but how many Hall of Famers are pictured in other people's cards? Yogi Berra and Roy Campanella must be in at least, I don't know, 8 or
That's a
10
great
cards
point.
each.
Yeah.
Because they played at the plate, and that's where a lot of them were. One of my secret hopes is that as I go through card by card, I can find a close play at first, where maybe a player it's a highlight of the first baseman, but there's a guy number 6 with a red and white jersey on going down to get thrown out, and maybe that can officially be finally Stan Musial's first tops card. By the way, he is in the Cardinals team card. So to me, that's the first, Stan Musial tops card, if you're going to count the 58 All-Star as his first appearance. So
Which
actually 56. It's just really, really small. But still, I always wondered, is he in there somewhere and they sort of blocked him out or changed his number because of contractual issues? I have no idea. But it would be a really kind of cool discovery. I can't imagine all these years later I would be the one to discover that. But what an interesting thing to think that that's a possibility, because there's so many, like I said, just so many great action shots in it.
Alex,
And,
any chance you could pull that card up on eBay so we could all see it?
Yeah. Which one is it? The 56 Cardinals?
Yeah,
No.
56 Cardinals team card.
No, the one where you thought he was running.
Oh, no. That's what I'm hoping to find. I have never found it. As I dig through it, I wish I could. I believe me, if I had discovered that, there'd be a video out by now.
Okay.
But as I flip through it and I'm looking,
I missed
because you can see players and you wonder, like some of them, there's one where I'm like, is that Al Kaline? I can't quite tell. It's probably a Tigers, but he looks like but you don't know. Is it the same thing with maybe one of them is Stan Musial? I don't know. But I love flipping through that set. It's probably my favorite. And I swear I'm not sucking up like somebody else did earlier today. But besides 53 Bowman, those are my two 53. Those are my two favorite sets. To just sit in a chair and just flip and look at every single card and just admire each one of them in their own individual greatness. In my
There's
opinion.
another one, Drew, that I think is awesome. Is Benelli Fox?
Oh yeah,
back.
yeah, that's a great one. I pulled out. It's the only Hall of Fame rookie card in it.
Yeah,
The Aparicio, another great one.
right.
So just, overall, again, I've never heard anyone say like, oh, 56, ugh, it's just a great set, and
Back there.
tons and tons of Hall of Famers. I don't know. It's got pretty much everybody What I like about it is it's a crossover where you have final cards or near the end of certain players like Jackie Robinson and Bob Feller, but you have newer players coming in like Roberto Clemente, Koufax, Aaron, and those guys. So there's sort of this crossover in time. Oh, it just doesn't have the usual, as we all know. So
It
Drew,
may. We have to do some
Is that
research,
Bob
right?
Feller's last Topps card? I think it is 56.
what's that?
The Feller, that's his last Topps card, isn't
Yeah, it is. Yeah, him and Jackie Robinson both. Mhm.
Drew, can you show the very first card again of the Giant player sliding into home plate? Because I want to say that's Willie Mays telling him to slide.
It's possible. All you read, you can see that there's a number 2.
Huh.
So maybe
Maybe.
the 2 kind of looks centered on his back. So I don't know, but maybe I don't know. I
Where
hadn't
did
thought
they-
about that one.
Where were they in the batting order? Was Mueller ahead of Mays by a couple
God,
batters?
I don't know. I don't know.
That's a fun
Um,
research project.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a good question. Maybe somebody in the chat can look and pop that up. I don't know. But that would be cool to see Mays. I do know. I don't know what card number it is. In fact, if you can pull it up, I think it's Eddie Matthews card. I don't have it. I don't know where it is in the set. Could you pull that up, Alex, real quick? Or maybe Don's got a copy of it. About a year ago, I was watching a video of G's Mikey, and he showed this card.
What was your
And
question?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Pee Wee Reese that he just knocked over. So there we go.
That's cool.
That'd be a fun project trying to just identify as many of the players
Yeah.
as you can.
Yeah, and there's a lot, and a lot of them that we would call commons. It's showing their numbers, so you can go back and research and figure it out. To me, it's just a fun side thing. It's sort of a mystery within a set that's been around for decades. So
Right.
there's just so much hidden in plain sight, and I love that. So
Definitely having. I need to go look at all these now. Like I've never picked that up before. Now I'm like, I got to go look at all the little photos.
Scott, so were you able to find what you're looking for?
Yeah, I did do a video on these before, and Rick asked about how the exhibits were distributed, and I ran across these,
Oh.
the inserts for the vending machine. I found them at a flea market in Florida, if you believe that.
Oh wow, another one.
You got wrestling,
that's really cool.
Those are cool.
and then this is my favorite one
Oh, man.
Oh,
with
wow.
Jackie and Campy.
Wow.
Holy cow! Wow, I've never seen those. That is awesome, Scott.
I picked up about 10 of them. I bought one at the flea market, and the guy said, well, I got a whole bunch more back home in Connecticut or New York or whatever. And he said, I'll call you when I find the sports ones. So about 6 months later, he called me and said, do you want them? I go, sure.
That's
You
amazing.
just don't see those around very often.
No, that's awesome.
Hey Scott, I had a question for you, and I don't know much about exhibits cards, but so I have this 62 Musial, but on the back it's got the stats, and where all the other ones I have don't have that. Was it just this year that did that?
No.
Or,
62 and 63.
okay,
This is Clementi's with the stat back.
those 2 years, all the players have them, huh?
And one of the 2 years has red or black, and one of them just has red, I believe.
Yeah, this is black.
Yeah, there's all kinds of exhibit sets. There's a Wrigley Field set with Hall of Famers from 1960 or 61. There's a Pittsburgh playing card exhibit set. I
Right.
think John Mangini always shows
Yeah,
up.
that's from
And
Greenwood Amusement Park here in Pittsburgh. They were giving out.
yeah,
Okay, Rick, you're up.
All right. I guess I'm gonna tell you a childhood story, I guess, just because I like to tell stories. And it shows you the area that I grew up in. I'm assuming everybody in this, or probably everybody who's watching right now, we all bought baseball cards as kids, and it just seems like we all had cards when growing up. I was fortunate enough to grow up in the late 70s. And in high school, my freshman year, a friend of mine, I had two friends. One of them was working on a 57 Topps, so one of them was working on a 61 Topps. And I had another friend who was selling his dad's cards. So he sold me the Roberto Clemente. Yeah, the Roberto Clemente
Nice.
card. I bought a version of this card for $10. And I was going to flip it to my friend Dan, who was working on the 57 set, for his 1958 Willie Mays card. Now, the reason I did this, because at the time, I worked at an LCS, one of the first LCS in this part of LA that I grew up in. And the card owner said the Clemente is worth more. And at the time, and I don't know if any of you guys can identify this, we used to put our star cards in binders and walk around with them. We'd show people our books. Here's my book. And you would look in there and, oh, look, 1968 Top Seaver. Oh, look, 1973 Rod Carew. My friends had better cards than I did. So my intent was to trade this Mays to somebody else for like 10 star cards. One of them being like a 69 Ryan and a 67 Topps leaders card, Sandy Koufax. Because I wanted to pad my book. I wanted to have a better book. Now we want to have a bigger boat, but back then we wanted to have a nicer book. So I ended up trading a Willie Mays card to get like 10 okay, star cards.
But you eventually righted that.
In the last year, I changed that. When I went back to collecting, I had a goal of getting back all the cards I ever owned, with the exception of the 68 Nolan Ryan. I've gotten everything back and a lot more stuff that I never had. But so definitely someday I'll get the Ryan. It's just I keep delaying picking it up and decide to buy other cards before I buy that card.
Right. I know like the Ryan to me is a tricky card because obviously it's a huge card, but I'm not personally that drawn to it. Yeah. Same for you.
Same for me. And a second part of that story was I owned the 69 Topps Nolan Ryan as well. And about 10 years ago, I moved into my house and somehow I lost the card, misplaced it. I just couldn't find it. And I was going through a part of my life where this is why in the chat earlier today, I said I have a rule, no cards in my closet. Because for several years, every time I opened the closet, I'd go, where did these 400 1971 Topps cards come from? Where did these 350 1972 Topps cards come from? I kept finding stuff in the closet. So that's why I started putting stuff back together. So I never found the Ryan. So I decided to I finally last year bought a Nolan Ryan PSA 4. Literally 2 weeks after I bought the card, I was going through some Mrs. Fields cookie box that had, some junk wax in it. And I was going through it, and there it is, the missing Nolan Ryan card.
Oh, wow.
So now I'm sitting on 2 1969 Nolan Ryan cards. But yeah, so I went through an era where I was finding stuff in the closet, and it's just ridiculous.
Right. Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. I haven't experienced that, but I'm always afraid that I'm going to experience it. So that's why I kind of am super, super picky with what I'm getting, just because if I let the gate open, the floodgates, I'm going to have too many closets filled with stuff and drown in it. So, all right, let's go to Don.
Okay. The next set I picked is 1950 Bowman. I'm 5 away from finishing the Hall of Fame run. And when I say Hall of Fame run, I'm just talking about the players. Although in this set, I think I'm going to get Casey Stengel and who am I forgetting? I'm drawing a blank on his name. Leo DeRocher.
Right.
Just because I think they're just so important to the history of baseball. So all I need, the only star player that I still need is Richie Ashburn. I need Joe Gordon, Luke Appling, Red Shanding, I think, and Bobby Dorr. So all Hall of Famers, but I just look at the price of a Joe Gordon and I'm like, I don't want to spend that much money on a Joe Gordon. Like it's just, but like many of you, it's like I'm so close to completing it. I have to get it.
Right.
So picked this up at the Strongsville show with Scott in Cleveland last year. And
Beautiful.
I love this Robin Roberts card.
Yeah.
Try to take that. Oh, it's here. Probably my highest graded. This is a 7 with Kiner. And then bought this at the National, and I was with James, I think either James or Rick, or not Rick, Eric Four-Leaf, I can't remember. I love that pose.
Yeah, that card's on my list as well.
And then 2 for you, Rick.
Oh, look at those. Pee Wee and Campy.
Yeah, and I've got the Jackie, but it's buried right now. So wasn't a set that I was originally going after, like 56 tops I wanted and 54 stand-ups I wanted. But I was looking at my set and I'm like, boy, I've got most of the stars. I've got the hard cards. I've got Ted Williams. I've got Jackie Robinson. It's not going to be that hard to complete now. And there's not a Bowman set I don't like. I think just from 49 to 55. Well, I guess 48. So I take that back. I'm not crazy about 48. But 49 to 55, I just love Bowman cards in general. I would love to do all the Hall of Famers for Bowman, but I think 51 is going to knock me out of that. With Mays and Mantle, and 49 is going to knock me out. With Jackie, and so I'm not even going to attempt to do them, but it would be fun to have that run.
Right. No, I agree with you
That'd be
100%.
Amazing, yeah.
Drew.
Yes, sir. Again?
Yeah,
I'm
you're
okay
up.
to keep talking. Okay. Well, that's fine. I already talked about the 56, but as I mentioned earlier, I'm a Carl Erskine fan.
Yes.
So I have 2 Erskine cards. One card I'll show off. I have the complete set, and I've shown it on my channel a few times, but absolutely just a stunner of a set.
Yes.
Which is the 54 Red Heart. I can't imagine most people haven't heard of it or don't know the story. What I love about this set, it's clean. I mean, the fact that it was distributed through a dog food company, but it's just got that mid 50s look to it. The diamond on the bottom with the name in it. In this case, the red background, even the backs of the card have a very 50s look to it. A little ad on the bottom, but it's got some stats, a little bio. Love the Red Heart set. Absolutely love it. Again, I can't imagine people don't know the set, but if you don't, it's only 33 cards in the set. There's 3 different series. One series is a red background, which is what the Erskine's from, the blue background, and then a green background. There's 11 cards in each of those sets, and it is loaded with Hall of Famers, including, of course, Mickey Mantle. Stan Musial's in it. I'm looking at my set over on the wall. Minnie Minoso's in it. It's a beautiful. It's actually, and I'm not going to go grab it off the wall, but I actually built a display to show the entire set together. And it's one of the focal points for me, who's been in this room thousands of times, just to look at that complete set, because it's just gorgeous to me. It's just beautiful. So that's the first sort of non-tops Bowman set I'll highlight. And then the other one, I only have 1 card of it, and I have it because more of it's Carl Erskine, not because of the set, but the
Oh yeah,
the
definitely.
infamous flying hot dog. So I don't know what hot dog vendor was mad at all these players to chuck them and get them right before impact. But a great set. Again, another very 50s looking classic kind of set. This one, that baby with black background. It's got the facsimile signature. The back of it, another bio on it. Trying to think.
I
No,
always
even had an
wonder, like,
advertisement, so
I'm always surprised that kids didn't like make little thought bubbles because it always, to me, it looks like they're thinking about hot dogs. They're playing the game, but they would
that would
really like
be
to have some hot dogs.
that would be great. That would be great to find one that did that. But I'm not going to do that to the only one I have.
No.
So, but yeah, the Wilson Franks is a great set, and again, both the example of both of these is while there's so many regional sets, food issue sets that are out there. To me, these are two sets that just fit right in with what Topps or Bowman was doing throughout the 50s. And I just love them. And there's nothing against any of the other ones. You guys have all shown some great other alternative cars and alternative sets, but to me, both of these sets just fit right in there with the era, with the player selection, with the color background, and so much. So that's what I've got outside of what we've already
Right.
talked about.
Any of you guys,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Doc.
I was just gonna say, do any of you guys have any Red Hearts or
Yeah,
Wilsons?
that's one the host gave me.
Yeah, you've got the giant
Over
one.
on the head. For the gift from Alex.
Extra large version, yeah.
And I've got the mini Minoso. Those are the only two I have.
Beautiful,
Nice.
though.
But so I have the 54 top set complete. And in my display, I include this card because there's no Musial in 54. And I would love to get the Campanella with the flying hot dog. I just went blank on. Is that Cons? No.
It's Wieners.
The one you just showed, Drew.
Wilson.
Wilson
Oh,
Frank.
Wilson Franks.
There's no 54 Campanella for tops either. So we'd love to get that, put Campy in with that set. Because I agree with you that they fit right in, with the tops cards of that era.
I never thought about the fact that Campy doesn't have 54 tops. That's painful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Scott, let's go on to you.
Well, one of the sets I like from Topps is the
For the double.
stand-ups for the
Right.
double. And that one has Ernie Banks on the back.
Nice.
And what I like the artwork on these a lot. And what I like the most is I don't have a full set, but if you put them all together, they make like a stadium panoramic picture.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get that up there. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's great.
Scott, I have a question about that. I think I remember reading this. I may be incorrect, but isn't it true if you have the entire set lined up? Not that you could do that. I guess you could if you stood it up, but it would actually create a 360-degree picture of the stadium.
Yeah,
Meaning,
that's
like
what I
if you
believe.
if you start on the first card and go all the way through, but then take the end card and put it back on the first, they would match up as well. So
That's-
in theory, if you stood them up and you were in the middle, it's like you're looking at all the players in a 360-degree radius. Is
Yeah,
that
I
true? I
believe
think I
that's
remember
true.
seeing that. Yeah, that's just really cool. And to me, that's innovative. I mean, it's just, I don't know if that was advertised or if kids found that out, but I just think that's really neat. I think that's
Yeah,
really cool.
I'm surprised not a lot of people really know about that. But
Right.
it's kind of an obscure set. You don't see it in a lot of cases at card shows or anything.
Mhm.
You have to really be looking for it.
Really cool.
And I guess I have another set that I like from the 50s. It's not baseball, football, basketball, hockey. It's not American. It's Parkhurst Wrestling from Canada. Bronco Nagurski.
That's
Yes.
cool.
He was a big time wrestler after his football career.
I never knew that.
Me either.
No, I didn't know that.
And then he retired up to International Falls, Minnesota, where he owned a gas station. And there's a famous postcard out there with big old Bronco pumping gas. And just kind of a fun tie into the Minnesota and everything.
Right.
Bronco Nagurski.
That's fun.
And I don't have his National Chickle card, so it's a nice, affordable alternative.
Rick or Don, either of you guys?
Go ahead, Rick.
Okay. Well, since I was sitting here going, you know what? My name is Dodger Card Collector, and I might as well show off two cards from when the Dodgers finally won the 1955 World Series. First would be from 1955 Tops. Then get that glare out of there. And
I've heard of that guy.
you've heard of this guy, yeah, yeah. So this was my first dream card, so to speak. Always wanted it, and finally got it several years ago, and just like the look of this card. I don't think he has a lot of nice cards, but this one to me is the best one. And also, since we're showing off Jackie Robinson's, I better show off one or get in trouble with the Dodger fan club. 55 Jackie Robinson. And I know there's someone out there social media wise. I guess there's a version of this card where the red diamond, it says Dodgers, is cut. I believe the top portion is cut. And he's collected like more than like 30 or 40 versions of this card. And I think PSA has finally recognized it. I'm not sure about that. But
do you mean like it's chopped off in the design, or is it like trimmed?
But I think I guess you would say it's chopped off. They chopped off the red diamond.
It's like the diamond for some reason was misplaced slightly over. So the card could be perfectly centered with a border, but the red diamond is slightly over. So it's actually not a perfect diamond. It's just sliced off a little bit on the edge. I've seen one. I don't have one, but.
And is that only with the Robinson, or?
Yeah,
it's only with the
That's
Robinson.
so strange.
No other Dodgers, no other card.
Yeah.
So well, that's news. I'd never heard that before.
It must have been in one print run or something. I don't know why that would happen, but it did. So
interesting. What do you got, Don?
So I mentioned this earlier. The 54 Top set is another set that I have all the Hall of Famers. And one thing that I didn't mention with the 50 Bowman that is true about this set is there's no Mickey Mantle, which for me is fantastic because I can afford it. And I'm not a huge, not that I don't like Mickey Mantle. You know, I have some of the cards, and I had to get the 56 for that. That's a beautiful card. I've just never felt that his cards should be worth as much as they are.
Sure.
So that's why this set for me, I'll show some of the key cards from that set. It's got Willie Mays in it. Got the Jackie. And what's unique about this set, I think Drew knows the story about this. I don't, but the two Teds, why there's two Ted Williams in the set. And then, of course, you got that's awesome for rookies. You've got the Ernie Banks, the Al Kaline.
Right.
And then, of course, you've got Hank.
Beautiful.
nice.
Wow, and a 4.
Beautiful looking set, and especially here. Like, I just love the logo.
Yeah.
There as well. I mean, you know, all of them are great. The Tigers logo, and
That's my favorite Tops set from the 50s.
54.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
It's,
53 Bowman?
Well, favorite Tops.
hot.
Favorite Tops.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Oh, you got
The Sports Illustrated with the paper thin cards in it.
That's the very first illustrated, right?
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
that's
Wow.
Eddie Matthews.
Folds out into a nice big poster.
Beautiful.
That is so cool.
Wow.
I've seen those, but I've never seen anybody actually have one.
Me too.
Really awesome,
That's
Scott.
amazing. That's
I
a
didn't
great
realize it
piece.
was the first Sports Illustrated they were in. That's just really wild.
That's what the cover looks like.
Great piece.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful.
Eddie Matthews, right? Yeah.
Yep, Eddie
Yeah, Eddie
Matthews.
Matthews.
Yeah, that's a
Catcher.
iconic cover right there.
Yeah,
Who
are
is
they
the
playing?
catcher?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't see her playing. That's right there. It's awesome.
I was going to ask something, and now I'm just totally mesmerized by that magazine.
Yeah.
I forgot. What I was gonna say. Beautiful. Who wants to jump in? I don't want to like pressure
so I wanna-
anybody.
I've got
Go ahead.
something else to talk since we're talking 50s, and I want to take the pressure off of you, Alex. So I listened to your podcast with Mike the other day, talking
Right.
about 53 Bowman, and you know not debate, but the discussion over and over about different cards and whatever. And one of them, of course, is the Pee Wee Reese, and people tend to love it or discount it. And as a Pee Wee Reese collector, of course, I love it. To me, it was a card that I never thought I owned, and now I own two. Not all of us have 10 or whatever you have, but the point is I love that card, and I love the fact that they included it. Now, the distractors will say it's such a posed shot. It's such a posed shot, which I would not debate. I wouldn't disagree. And one of my good friends and others on here is Jake, a Legend Never Die, and he says that this is the most beautiful card from the set, which there's not much debate. Another beautiful card. As a Braves fan, I know he loves it. It's got the great patch on the sleeve. But to me, that's a posed shot. One of my favorite cards in the set is Gil Hodges, but that's a posed card.
They
So
all
I don't
are.
understand that. I don't understand why people put down the Pee Wee Reese for being posed when they're all posed. I'm pretty sure 160 out of the set are posed or predetermined. The difference maybe is because it's horizontal, because it's a distance shot. I don't know. I did a video on Pee Wee Reese and some of the other cards, he did, and Pee Wee Reese has a lot of action shots. Excuse me, a lot of action shots in other sets. If you look at his 49 Bowman, that's an action shot. It's not posed.
Right.
Look it up at my thing. If you look at his Burke Ross, that's a posed shot, but it's an action shot. Sorry, I'm looking up at the thing. A lot of them. He's just got different cards, and to me, maybe that's just who Pee Wee Reese was. Was he liked? He was a poser. I don't know. Maybe he just liked the action stuff. You know what I mean? He just wanted to do something. I mean, from what I understand, he was a great, a get down, get dirty kind of a player.
Yeah.
As far as like in there, his uniform was always dirty. He was a shortstop. He played his position well. He was short in stature, but he was great. So for me, 1953 Bowman, it's okay if you don't like it because not all of us have to be right. But I'm just saying 1953 Bowman, Pee Wee Reese is one of the most classic cards because it's one of the most classic cards. Thank you. Another
this one
another
posed?
post shot of him.
And there's
It's
a ball
posed,
coming
sure.
toward him. See the
Yeah,
ball
it's
down
posed.
there?
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, it's another action type of shot as opposed
Yeah.
to just a headshot or something. So
Right.
to me, I understand where it doesn't. It's different than the other 159 cards in the color, but to me, it's also absolutely in line with so many other cards that Pee Wee Reese has outside of that one. So
Right.
I'm just defending it because now I'm on here and I can defend it. So I see it in comments all the time. It's overrated and da da da, whatever. Overrated. Don't bid on them. I'm happy to get a third someday. I don't know, but the point is, I think it's a great card. So there's my
It reminds me of that card. If you look closely, of course, it's not the same shot, but it reminds me a lot of it with the player sliding with his head turned the other way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Up in the air.
Right. That's just what he did.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that I like is you're saying Jake thinks the Warren Spawn is the most beautiful card. Everybody has their most beautiful card in that set, and that's what
I
I
agree.
think is hilarious because they're all beautiful. Like everybody has a favorite card in that set. Minnie
Sure.
Minoso is one of them. Mickey Mantle. There are a ton of beautiful cards in that set.
Agreed.
So
Yeah, there's really not an ugly one. I guess my thing is, it's when people say this one's beautiful, but the Reese is posed. But I'm like, they're all posed. So
right.
I got a text earlier from Jake. He said he's going to watch this later. So I'm putting this in now. So at 54 minutes, he'll be texting me tonight, be like, Drew, what are you talking about? So I'm okay with that. So,
The Reese
anyway.
the Reese card's ahead of its time. That's 18 years before the 71 Tops started featuring action cards. So
We've already
that's the
talked about
reason
that.
I like the card. I feel it's ahead of its time.
Right.
I agree. Now, Alex, let me ask you this, because you may know you did much more research on the set. Is the original photograph from that, wasn't that from 1940 something? Is that accurate? I think I remember reading that at some point in time.
It's
It was,
definitely not from the same like shoot, and it's not by the same photographer.
yeah,
And in fact, it's black and white, and they colorized it. So
yeah.
I mean, that's one of the reasons why it stands out.
Hmm.
It doesn't have the same quality as the other photographs. The other thing that's interesting, and I did a video on this not too long ago, was that there were originally potentially going to be other horizontal cards in that set. And they were also very similar in terms of like being sort of action horizontal shots, and they were black and white photographs, and they were colorized. They never got, obviously, it didn't get released, but they did have like proof cards, and some of them reached auction. You can see some of them out there. But so, I mean, they were playing. I mean, the other thing that's cool about that card, I think, now this stream has gotten totally derailed by Pee Wee Reese, but the other thing cool about that card is, to me, it's like one of the first attempts to kind of have these sort of subsets. Maybe like they were kind of flirting around with the idea of like, let's have action cards, and like it would be like this other part of the set, and they would all be horizontal. I mean, that's one of the first times that you see Topps or Bowman kind of playing around with the idea of having a subset. They didn't actually do it, but there's like a remnant of it with that one card.
Yeah.
Alex, that's the only horizontal card
Yeah.
set?
They probably got that from the exhibit supply company. There's quite a few horizontal cards in that set.
Right.
Just saying.
Right.
I think Terry has a good point in the chat. He said baseball was behind the times. Parkhurst hockey was regularly featured action shots.
Mm.
Sure.
Completely. Terry's always right when it comes to card history, for sure.
Yes. he
And
is.
hockey
Especially hockey. Yeah.
Is there a set that you guys don't like from the 50s?
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm going to get shot for it. I can't stand the 55 Bowman.
Oh, never mind.
I just don't like the TV set. That's not to say if somebody sold me 200 different Bowman, 1955 Bowman cards, I would start the set.
What about the 1950 Drakes? They're kind of a TV set also.
Yeah, I feel like those Drake, they're cool. There's some that are like really eye catching. I have to mention it. The Eddie Waitkus is a great looking Drake's card. It had to happen, right? But I feel like they're not as, I mean, if you're going to compare the two, they're not as appealing as 55 Bowman. But I totally understand why 55 Bowman gets a bad rap. I mean, I think there's some really cool ones in there, but as a set overall, maybe not so much.
This is a set that I'm not crazy about. The only two I have.
Mm.
Yeah. To me, it's like, I think any set that's out there, there are specific cards that you like, wow, that is an amazing card, whether it's the pose or the colors or something. But to me, when you talk about the overall appeal of a set, that's like when it's in a binder and you're flipping through it, does it get boring after a while? Is
Yeah.
it like, oh, another one, another one, another one? As opposed to a card or a few different cards that are just incredible within that set. I think 55 Bowman kind of fits into that. I understand why people do love it. There are some amazing cards individually, but if I was going to flip through page after page, it would just kind of get old to me. And I'm not going to talk about other decades that I think that's more prevalent. I think the 50s is more unique in the fact that there's really not a lot of sets that are just boring to flip through. I think overall it's a great decade for, because they were just trying so much. Stuff from the 40s was so sort of primitive. The things from the 30s and 20s are way gone. But they were just, Topps was trying to get their legs under them, and then they did, and then they battle, and then Bowman goes out. I don't know. There was just so much innovation in a 10-year span in the way cards were designed, printed, distributed, players, contracts, everything. There's so much stuff. It's just such an amazing decade and there's so many amazing sets, not just Topps and Bowman. Like, we've already discussed so many others.
Right. And I mean, part of that's because they had a captive audience, right? I mean, baseball was so huge, and they knew that there was money to be made. So they wanted to take advantage of that while they could. Anybody have anything they want to?
I mentioned a set that hasn't been
Yeah, please.
open, and I think this goes back to what you said, Drew. I think this set fits in well with the Topps and Bowman 50 cards, or cards from the 50s, and I think it's the Redman.
Yeah.
These are the only two I own, but I absolutely love these. And I just picked this one up recently. And if you get a chance, and if you want to see something really cool, Jake's, he picked up the whole package, the actual tobacco
Oh, right.
pack with the,
Yeah, still sealed. Mhm.
and I never understood how those cards came in those packs. And it's on the outside of it. I think it's his recap for the National. I don't know if you guys have any of those. I'm sure you guys do. But just beautiful cards.
Yeah, I did a video earlier on some I got back from PSA, and there's one thing that's really nice. There's a poster out there. There's a counterfeit one, but there's posters out there of the Redman Tobacco, I think, with Ralph Kiner on the poster, his card. It's pretty cool if you ever see it. And he signed a lot of them too.
I'm going to see if I can find that, just to pull it up here. But in the meantime, anybody else have?
Alex, I was just curious. You've shown those salesman pieces for the Bowman. Do they have that for any of the other sets? Do you know?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Bowman and Topps, you can find salesman sample. That's a whole like niche in the hobby that I don't think gets a lot of attention, but there's some really cool ones out there.
Yeah. Hires Root Beer. Someone mentioned that's a great set.
But is that something you find on eBay, or do we find it going through like an auction house like Heritage?
Good question. I mean, you're probably going to have better luck seeing it more frequently in an auction than you are on eBay. But I mean, the two that I got on eBay, and that was like several years ago now. So I don't know how much they're popping up these days. But
What do the backs of those look like? Do they say salesman sample on the back?
the 53 ones that I have, you really couldn't tell they were salesman samples. They're basically just they are 3 connected cards, from an uncut sheet. But
I've seen 1962 where it's actual salesman sample on the back of the cards. It was on eBay a year or two ago, and had
Right.
Roger Maris on it.
when you look up 54 and 55 Bowman, you will see little stickers on the back that indicate that it's a salesman sample and a little bit of a pitch about the cards and why they should pick them up.
Mhm.
Here's that poster. Let me just throw this up here that Scott was just talking about.
Oh yeah.
Pretty cool. And like you're saying, Scott, you have to be careful, I'm sure, about whether it's authentic or not.
Yeah. The ones that are not authentic that are signed by Kiner, those are cool too, because it's an actual autographed item, but
Right.
you can't really buy it as an authentic.
Right.
There's other posters out there that are pretty cool too. I think at one time I had a 59 Topps poster with a Nellie Fox card on it. It was pretty cool, but I really don't have room for a lot of that kind of stuff.
Sure. Here's a, since we were just talking about it, here's a 54 Bowman salesman sample. So you can see it's just four cards cut out of a sheet, and then here's the back of it. In case you can't read it, salesman samples, Bowman's 1954 Major League Major League Stars baseball picture cards, bubblegum, and then it says Bowman Gum, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So the salesman samples got a little bit more official in subsequent years for Bowman.
Alex, did you bring up once, and I'm not sure if it was you or not, Keith Olbermann has Bowman samples or something like that from 53.
Yeah, he has those proof cards that I was just talking about. Yeah, he's a big time collector and has a number of original proof cards that were never ultimately printed for release. Yeah, he's got like an alternate Warren Spahn. Yeah, if you give me a second, I can.
Because he was also he was also the guy that found out for 53 tops there are 6 cards that are missing that were never released, and Oberman was the one who actually found out who the players were.
Wow.
What numbers they were.
Okay, so here they are. Let me see if I can open these up. Little small on the screen, but there is one of the horizontal cards that I was talking about before. These don't have backs, so they don't have names, but this one is commonly referred to as Dodgers in action. And you can see somebody sliding home, and there's a call at the plate. Can't really tell who. Might be Reese again. Here's an oops, I'm clicking on the wrong thing here. Ferris Fane from the Athletics. That's a beautiful shot. Very similar to
That's a
the
great card.
That is
Gil
great.
Hodges.
Yeah, the Hodges.
Reminds me of his 50 Bowman a little bit.
Right. Enos Slaughter, I mean, it's the same image, but it's like slightly different in terms of the composition. You'd really have to like hold up the other card to see the difference. And then here's the alternate Warren Spahn.
I like that.
I like that one.
Yeah. So what could have been, right? And I mean, who knows how many other ones they were playing around with, but never actually got printed out. So. Any other sets or cards you guys want to pull up, or that you pulled aside to show?
I just
see
saw,
these.
go ahead.
Okay, Scott.
They come in strips in gumball machines back in 1950.
Wow.
Power 423s. And there's purple and there's orange back. This is a purple back. I was pretty happy when I got the gray back on that.
I bet.
Wow.
Just something oddball from the 50s.
Yeah.
You guys ever get the Hires root beer with the tabs or without?
I have one. If you give me a second, I'll.
Yeah, I love those too. I would love to get the Hank Aaron.
Yeah.
While he does that, I'm going to break format for a second just because Bink Scott in the comment section said, did Rick show off a card that I got this week? So I'm going to go ahead and show it off. It's from 1933. 1933 DeLong Lefty O'Doul. That one, that's my one and only DeLong card from the 30s. Luckily, there's only one Dodger card, so that's all I need.
Oh, wow. Really? There's only one Dodger?
In the early 30s, there's a lot of Dodgers, or there's a lot of sets that only have one Dodger, and it's usually Lefty O'Doul. So
Yeah,
I
they
just
were
picked
pretty
that one.
terrible. So
That one goes out to Bink Scott because I just noticed he put it in the comments. Thanks.
well, that's
for
a pretty small set. I think there's less than 50 cards in that set. So I don't know for sure. I only have one, but it's not a Dodger. So I'm
the
not
Gehrig
counting
is
that
not.
one.
The Gehrig is nice, but I don't have
Oh,
that.
gosh. That Gehrig is beautiful, but like
That's the one I
astronomical.
have. So
Yeah, I only have
I have
one.
that one.
High Trainer.
That's a nice one. The trainer. I
Yours
like
is nice. I've seen yours, Don.
Yeah,
So
the
there's my one Hires card.
Pee Wee Reese.
Yeah.
I need to get.
And obviously no tab, but I think this is great. I think again another set that just screams 50s. Of course, they were out in LA by that point, but the whole not whole gang thing, kids peeking through. To me, my dad grew up in the 50s. I don't know. Did he go down? Now, my dad grew up in New York City. He was a Giants fan. Did he go down the Polo Grounds and peek through somewhere, try to get a peek at his favorite player was Monty Irvin? You know, I don't know. Probably not, but because my grandmother would have not been happy. But anyway, I love this set, and because it's a great image. You know, it's got the wood border, and a lot of people, whether it's 62 tops or the 55 Bowman, they're kind of, I don't know. Again, I haven't heard people say, I hate this set. I think it's just a nice balance of the border for what they were trying to pull off versus the picture itself. So, and I think it's great. I think it's great that the way they were distributed, you know, this obviously doesn't have tab, but the tab, and it just sat down, I think, in a 6-pack. So the fact that, you know, you go into a store and you could literally say, oh, I want to get that card or that player, and you pick up that 6-pack of root beer to get whoever you wanted. And I think that's kind of neat.
We talked about this a couple sessions ago, I feel like, but I really wish that were still the case. Like, I mean, why can't we have baseball cards as a part of, you know, products at the grocery store? I don't know. It seems like it's a missed opportunity to not try to market it these days, especially when they're like collecting is like such a hot thing again, that people are aware that there are collectors out there. Like, why not try to do tie-ins with products? Doesn't have to be cereal. Can be, I don't know, beer.
Yeah.
I'm a
Bring back
child of
some
the
Wheaties.
70s.
Yeah, some Wheaties.
There you go. I'm a child of the 70s, so I like Kellogg. I still miss Kellogg's 3D baseball.
Scooter,
Those were awesome.
happy.
Beautiful.
Yogi.
Oh yeah, that bear was so great.
There's two versions of each card too, action and a portrait.
Yeah, Vintage Cards here made a comment. It's true that the Hires Root Beer design was originally designed by Bowman, and it was supposed to be their 56, potentially their 56 design, and they had it all worked out. They had done a I guess, what do you call it?
A mock-up.
Yeah, like a marketing review with kids. Like, they went to like baseball stadiums and talked to kids, like, what would you like to see? And they had like a few different mock-ups, and everybody chose the knot hole, and that was going to be the next design. And then of course Bowman shut down. So then I guess whoever did Hires had some connection to Topps, and they just lifted that design and used it. So in a way, Hires Root Beer is like the ghost of Bowman in terms of design.
But could you imagine if it went through and now we have the debate, which is the better 56 design, those two? I mean, that would just, again, it would dominate again. Just, I don't know. You can go on forever, I suppose, but I just think that's great. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Right.
Are there, Alex, I know that you mentioned to us earlier, are there any cards that we're still looking for from the 50s?
Always still looking for cards from the 50s. I'm not prepared with my list right now. I'll show a card though. I sneaked off and grabbed it. I forget, one of you guys mentioned it earlier, so I'll show it. It's this guy.
Oh,
Beautiful.
I want that card.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful card.
This is maybe one of the only cards that I got while I was building the 53 set. I took a break and got this card one summer, and I'm glad I did, because I definitely would not be able to get it now.
That's the only Bowman Dodger card I still need.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think I'll get it. So
Yeah. Anybody else have something pulled aside?
Here's three of my favorite cards from the 50s. Not
Oh, let's see it.
but I love this Frank Robinson.
It's nice.
Oh yeah, great card.
that's a great card.
Bob Feller is one of my favorites. And I don't think Yogi Berra. Like some players have an awful run of cards, and other guys, at least to me, I just think have a beautiful run, and Yogi's one of them.
Yeah.
Same with Roy Campanella. I think he's got a ton of great cards too.
Rick, did you had that 59 tops?
The Robinson. Yeah, I had that one
Yes.
as well.
Love that card.
I love
I'm
that.
gonna put that on my list.
Love
That's a
that
great
card.
looking card. It's one of the things I love about these streams is just I've got this list here of cards I have to look at again.
Here, I'm going to show one.
This doesn't quite compare to your Jackie Robinson.
Oh,
Alex,
that's
but
that's a
it's
beautiful.
more affordable.
That's a great card, though. It's a great.
It's a great
picture.
shot.
Love that one.
And it came in an album, and it's a 2 because it was pulled out of an album, steamed out or whatever. There's 200 stamps in an album, and it's only National League players.
Since I know Don's a Pirate fan, the greatest performance in one game,
Absolutely.
Harvey Haddix.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a tough card to get in the 53 set just because I think it's his rookie card.
Oh, is it?
And I found it easier to find the graded version than the a raw version of it, an ungraded version.
Does he kind of have the Johnny Vandermeer, Don Larson effect? They had 1 or 2 great games, and it makes that card.
Yeah. But so was Elroy Face was also a tough one to get from the
Mhm.
that set.
Really? That's
Yeah. Pirate cards are hard to get. I don't know if it's because I'm on the West Coast, but whenever I'm looking for a Pirates card, it's expensive.
Really.
Yeah, Mazeroski rookie,
Well, yeah.
Elroy Face, Harvey Haddix, Smokey Burgess.
Right.
It always costs money, good money.
Interesting.
Well, buy some modern Pirates. They won't cost you anything.
They're giving those
I'm
away.
a player on the Pirates.
Just pay for shipping, and they'll send you a box. That's funny.
Here's a classic card from the 50s.
There
Oh,
you
yeah.
go.
Oh yeah, yeah. One set we didn't mention is a 52 Bowman. I don't know if Lou's watching or not, but he loves this card. I figured I'd show it off, but I built this set at one point, and I remember picking this card up, and I always, from a historical point of view, admired Minnie Minoso. And I remember buying it. I remember what I paid for this card. It was only $7 with shipping. And I remember looking up, I didn't know it was his rookie card. But that was years before he entered the Hall of Fame. And now everybody knows 52 Bowman, that's his rookie. But
Right.
I mean, anybody who's a Minoso fan would. But I think it's a great set. I think if you look at all the Bowman sets, every set is beautiful in its own right, but they continued to push their art and the picture of what they were presenting of the player itself. And when you look at 50 to 51, a lot of them are the duplicate, portraits or whatever. But in 52, they went a little bit more, a lot more detail in the background. In this card specifically, you can see, they literally drew in the net, of the fence or whatever behind. It's
Mhm.
kind of a glare there. But they did that on a lot of cards. And earlier when I was talking about great sets just to flip through, 52 Bowman is a beautiful set just to flip through because the backgrounds are just so detailed compared to 50 or 51. And nothing wrong with either of those sets.
Great background.
Yeah, that's a great one. And I've got that card. Same card. Oh, beautiful Snyder.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. And I've got a Campanella in a destroyed case, which is a whole nother story.
Wow.
If you don't know the story, just go back and find it. I made a video on it. It's a classic story. So, but great card.
Did that recently.
I watched the Cuban collection that Ryan had the other day, breakout cards. I mean, I have 3 Cuban cards and they're all commons, but here's one that's a matchbox.
Oh, great.
Nice.
And you can see the matches are still in it.
Oh wow.
Los
Cool.
Peloteros.
Yeah, Peloteros, and it has the biography on the back.
That is so cool.
That is great.
That's from about 54, 55. And the other two commons I have are from about 1950.
Those are great.
Vintage Cards asked if I had a couple of cards from the 53 set. So I'm going to show these really quick. These are single print cards from Topps. We got Johnny Padres and Jim Gilliam. These are both their rookies. The Padres I bought raw years ago for like $5. And I sent it in to get graded. And what is it, a 4? It's a 4. But yeah, so I thought I'd show those off for Vintage Cards who asked about them. Those are from the 53 set.
Awesome.
Another interesting tidbit on 53 and Dodgers. I think it's Clem Labine, his card. Topps actually put the advertisement for Topps chewing gum in the background behind him on the wall. And I just think, again, that's cool. It's kind of fun. Kind of like we started with Dick Brodowski with the Fenway lights. I just think it's
Right.
cool that they actually put an advertisement for their own product on their own product. So
That's what's so fun about those early cards is the illustrated ones is they took some artistic license, and especially with the backgrounds, right?
yeah,
And a lot of times the card design or the illustration is way better than the photograph that it was based on. Because a lot of times the photograph was like fairly dull in the background, but they would, just add something more interesting to them, which is
The Maze card is dull. The photo.
right.
I think the
There's some
card's a lot nicer.
Dodger variations for you, Rick.
There we go. Look at that. Look at that. Love that.
And then there's one with the logos.
Those are great.
Oh, yeah,
That one
great.
with the logo.
Huh.
I just pulled up that Clem Labine card, Drew. That card is awesome. Like I never
Yeah.
noticed that before on the back. Very
I think there's another card too, but I don't know who it is. But there's another card in the set. Maybe someone in chat can say it. That has a Topps advertisement behind the player. But I know the Labine does because I used to have it, or maybe I still do. I'm not sure.
Rick was complaining about so many Dodger cards. There's a couple Giants for you.
There you go. Balance it out.
New York and San Francisco versions.
Looks like a pirate on the bottom. Was that a pirate?
Yeah. You know him.
As okay. Thought I
There's
saw.
there's also a batting version that I don't have yet
Okay.
of Maz.
Here's that Labine card.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That's great.
that is great.
Yeah, that's just fun.
Definitely.
All right, guys, this is probably a good place for us to wrap up. You guys, I put you through lightning round of showing stuff, and you kept up, so I appreciate it. Saw a lot of great stuff tonight, and some good stories too. So thank you all so much for jumping in here. If any of you guys in the chat are not already subscribed to these gentlemen, look them up and subscribe to their channels. You won't be disappointed. And we'll do this again next Sunday. So until then, have a good night, everybody. Take care.
Thanks, Al.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. See you, everybody.
Night.
Take care.